Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C, and we're talking Charlton and Big C Sports as we do every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. Welcome to the $1 Million Show. And today is beautiful June the 3rd, 2016, Big C. And I know you good old boys in the South, I'm starting to understand why you drink so much moonshine. It's hot in California, but that moonshine really cools you off, Big C.
Well, it keeps the blood circulating a little better, Charlton. It thins it down, so it prevents you from getting overweight and everything because it keeps that metabolism high.
Yeah, speaking of metabolism, this segment is also sponsored by Bud Light because it tastes great. But you say it's less filling, Big C. I think there was an athlete back in the day. His name was Bubba. Was it Bubba Smith? And they had Big Bubba Smith, and he, of course, Pro Bowl football player. He was always great on the field, but he was also an actor, Big C. But Bubba Smith, what a great actor and a great football player, Big C. Just a little bit of thought on how great Bubba Smith was, Big C, especially in commercials.
Well, he was great overall. When he played at Michigan State, he was the number one overall draft pick in the NFL of the Baltimore Colts. Back in the late 60s, had a longevity career, about 13 years, finished up with the Oakland Raiders. But, his main note to fame, he played in the Police Academy movie, but the Miller Lite commercials really, heightened his awareness in the American public. The taste great, less filling. Yeah. With all the former athletes. And, we talked about the former athletes who crossed over into that film genre. And when you think about that, Bubba Smith, Conrad Dover, many players. Gordie Howe was in that hockey player. When you look at the guy, and I'm trying to think of his name, I should have looked at it, but there were so many of these athletes who made these commercials what they were, made Miller Lite one of the top-selling beers in America, and also really introduced light beer to America, Charlton. That was the key, because everybody was used to drinking full-octane beer.
Well, you call it full-octane beer? And for me personally...
you have that number just less than 100 calories, it really helps America health-wise.
Well, I heard one of these UFC fighters, in fact, there's a big fight down in Inglewood in Southern California tomorrow, and they were talking to one of the MMA fighters, and of course, as always, guys like Conor McGregor, and then Uriah Faber, he's fighting also, but one of the fighters that's going to be boxing in the UFC, he was saying that he drinks about 3 gallons of water a day, but he drinks distilled water, Big C, because it helps get the impurities out of his system. So he went from 213 pounds down to 190. Now, I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to endorse what he's saying, but that's amazing how you could drop about 23 pounds, if the math is right, in just about 2 weeks, Big C. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but fighters are notorious for making the weight, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charles, what you're looking at is that you're not taking any calories into your body, Charles. You're staying full by consuming the water, and especially if you drink it when it's cold, it gives the body the sensation of being full because it speeds up the metabolism. And so, it's always been talked about in medical journals that we need to consume more water. The average human being needs to consume at least a gallon of water a day. But, you think about these soft drink and beverage companies, which has really changed the face of American health.
Yeah, all sugar.
I remember growing up drinking out of a water hose, Charlton, outside, when you're thirsty.
Are you saying, wait, let's clarify, Big C. Were you drinking moonshine out of a water hose or water out of a water hose, Big C?
Well, but when you wanted that beverage, Charlton, it was drinking out of a water hose outside. You'd run the water in the summertime, let that hose cool down, but that's what you got to drink. We didn't know anything about all that signature bottled water, the still water, the various brands, and water's become $1 billion industry. And never thought about that when I was a kid, that this substance is free for your entire life. You're paying $2 to $3 a bottle for it.
Isn't that crazy? There are people who swear, Big Z. Okay, this is California, so maybe a little bit more bourgeois, but there are people who swear, I can't drink blank water. I can only drink this brand. And another person says, I could never drink that brand. I only drink the $5 bottle of water. And here it was, you and I, when I grew up, Big C, out here in California, I don't know how you good old boys did it down south, but I also drank from a water hose. And one time, I'll never forget, this is about 10 years ago, I was in my front yard watering the lawn. I was thirsty. It was hot, about 100 degrees in California. So I drank some water from the water hose. There's this little 10-year-old girl riding by on a bicycle. She said, "Ooh, you're going to get sick." And I said, "What?" She said, "You can't drink from a water hose." And I thought marketing really works, Big C, that young kids think that you cannot drink water out of a water hose, Big C.
Well, Charlton, it just has everybody branded and confused.
Yeah.
Where does that water in the bottles come from, okay?
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. Are they shipping out this brand called Fiji? Are they shipping from Fiji? Can you imagine how much weight that would be on an airplane or a cargo ship?
Yeah.
Shipping water from Fiji.
Yeah.
And what would be the economics? You could not afford the bottle at that point, Charlton, because of the weight and just the shipping cost.
Yeah,
so you have to be realistic. And I remember when I was in college, Charlton, there was a bottling plant a few blocks down the street.
Yeah.
This was right after college.
Yeah.
And they made Arrowhead water, okay?
Yeah.
They pumped it out of the city system, ran it through the filtration system, and bottled the Arrowhead water blocks away from my live in my cheap apartment, Charlton.
Yeah, well, that's funny.
So when I sit there and you talk about the marketing, there was a 10-year-old girl saying you cannot drink out of a hose. But, the public realistically needs to understand, where does all water come from?
Yeah.
It comes from the ground. It's all coming from wherever you pump it from.
Yeah.
But, whether if it's coming from a stream, we know the bears do what in the woods and everything, as well as pigeons and everything else up in the trees what they're dropping.
Well, I remember
when you talk about,
go ahead, Big C, go ahead.
You talk about the purity of water. Yeah, they may send it through a filtration system, but it has all of the bodies that you're going to find anywhere. And I can't think of many people who have gone camping and haven't drank out of a spring, drinking natural water, okay?
Well, ironically, when I went up to Yosemite a couple years ago, I actually climbed Half Dome. It's about 8,000 feet. I was cramping so bad going up there because I wasn't aware that you should actually have salami and bologna and maybe salty peanuts. I was up there with cheese and bread, but you need something salty to get back into your body, and you have to drink lots of water. Now, there were people who had some purifying pills, and they would actually get water out of the stream, and they'd purify it, and they became healthy. I'm not sure exactly what they put in it, but you can't get any better water.
You know what you need to purify a gallon of water?
What's that?
A teaspoon of bleach. Kill everything and all the things. Well, seriously, and it's so diluted by that point that you really don't taste it that bad.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like drinking bleach, but it will kill every impurity in that water. But your body needs the substance. And when you talk about salt, when I was growing up, that's what they gave us, in high school with salt pills.
Yeah.
And in college, you got salt pills. We didn't have the Gatorade.
Yeah.
You took these salt pills, take a couple of these before practice, take a couple before the game, because you're going to need it to stop cramping. So we took these yellow salt pills, to help us out against hydration and cramping. So.
Yeah. Well, I think the University of Alabama, they ordered an extra case of it because they know USC's going to give them a run for the money down in the Kickoff Classic. And speaking of running for your money, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealer, home of the all-new Escalade Big C. It is the standard of the world. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, Big C, something I want to bring up. I know we talk sports and we talk, it's Happy Friday. People are having fun all over the country. And bienvenidos to you and Latin America again. So thanks for listening in. Let's get in more shows before Donald Trump tries to build that wall, Big C. But speaking of building walls, what are your thoughts on this gorilla where the little boy, I think 3 or 4-year-old boy, I think it was in Ohio, that fell into this gorilla cage, and he was being dragged around through the water, and they had to end the life of the gorilla. And there were some people more upset that they had to take the life of the gorilla than they are when people get taken out. Big C, just your thoughts on that.
Well, realistically, Charlton, and Peter may call in and protest our show after this, but he was an animal, okay?
Yeah.
Human life is the most precious thing on this planet. Human life, this is how everything is facilitated, is through human life, Charlton. And you think about it, there was not a news outlet last week that this incident was not on and covered extensively.
Yeah.
Whether it was print, radio, television. One gorilla, Charlton. But let me take you back to a place where I have a lot of friends who live at, and that's Chicago, Charlton, okay?
Yeah.
The murder capital of America, really the shooting capital of America. Last week, Charlton, the same week that gorilla was shot and killed, there were 69 African Americans, Charlton, shot in the city of Chicago alone.
How many were in the news?
59 shot, Charlton. 6 were killed. 6 were fatalities. Not once did we see this on the news, Charlton, but we saw the news station plastered this gorilla all over America and all over the world. So when they talk about, and we've seen the protests for the past couple of years, Black Lives Matter, they don't matter in the media, Charlton.
Right.
Because 69 blacks in one American city can be shot. And it's okay. And this is not about the Second Amendment right, Charlton. That's what people need to understand.
Yeah.
This is not about the right to bear arms. Because Chicago has one of the most stringent gun laws in America, Charlton.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, Indiana, 20 minutes away, okay?
Yeah.
20 minutes you can be in Gary, Indiana. When you have open gun laws, anybody can walk in, flash a driver's license, and buy a gun and go back over to Illinois, Charlton.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, and you got the NRA fighting the wrong fight, start letting some of their people get shot. Some of their kids and grandkids getting shot.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. You know, because Charlton in America, when you think about, I think it was about 2.5, 3 years ago in Newtown, Connecticut, all right, Charlton?
Yeah.
When we had the kids in the school, you know, these were 5 to 8-year-old kids.
Right.
And when you got to sit there and you got to go to the funeral of your classmate and you're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, Charlton, that's an American tragedy, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
What they did. Think about the devastating scar that's left on these people throughout their lives. And here it is, they're protesting about a gorilla.
Yeah.
An animal that will be forgotten. I don't care how endangered they are. Black people are endangered, Charlton, and children, because of the Second Amendment right to bear arms. And if you're going to bear arms, it's against tyranny, Charlton. I don't think we're going to be attacked by a revolutionary scenario again, Charlton, in America. So, you know, America needs to wake up. We got the mayor of Chicago, Ron Emanuel, former White House aide and stuff to the president, that has done nothing in the city of Chicago to ward off these crimes. I mean, and it's just as bad whether it's a private citizen or the police officers. And they're both equally culpable in that city.
And I think when you look at how it ties to sports, because, and of course we love the sports show, but it's also in reality a lot of great athletes come from a lot of the cities where crime is very high. And
we're talking Will Smith lost his life about a month and a half ago in New Orleans.
Yeah.
On the same scenario, gun violence.
Yeah.
Regardless of what his alcohol blood level was, he was shot to death in the street. You know, but this gorilla got more attention than Will Smith, who was a public figure and helping within that city of New Orleans.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think obviously, hopefully, in more zoos around the country. I remember when I was a young boy going to zoos and you seen the animals that are caged up. And of course, some people agree or they disagree that we should even have that. But I think, hopefully, I'm glad that everything turned out great for the little boy. And for people who are saying, well, they should not have taken out the gorilla, imagine if that were your child. Obviously, you wouldn't want that. But it goes back into the sports business too, Big C, because we get so numb with the sports business. And just following the NBA last night with Golden State and the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 1. And I thought there'd be a double-digit win by Golden State just going into it, because I think they do have too much firepower. And in my mind, something tells me that for TV's sake, that Cleveland will probably have a better chance at winning Game 2 than they did winning Game 1. But I'm cynical, Big C. But just your thoughts on that game and how we're all so caught up by sports where real life happens too, but sports gives us a way to get away from it. But just your thoughts on what happened in the game last night. I know the bench for Golden State, they really won the game for the Golden State Warriors, Big C.
Well, Charlton, when you look at last night's game, and, you know, when you think about Steph and Klay Thompson, those guys were road and game weary from the series against OKC, okay?
Yeah.
They had played into the upteam, averaging close to 70 points a game between those two great players. But, you know, we had talked about it. You and I had a great conversation, and I was informing you that Golden State would get at least or need 40 to 45 points from their bench to be victorious in Game 1.
Yeah.
And that was the difference. You know, when you think about the Golden State Warriors, Charlton, they have 12 of their 15 players on the roster that were former #1 draft picks in the NBA.
Wow.
So when you think about the talent level on their roster, you got 12 #1 draft picks, and they went 12 deep last night, Charlton.
Yeah.
So you had 12 #1 quality players on the floor at any time for Golden State. And because they have played so many bench players this year, Charlton, starting when Luke Walton was coaching, you know, you interchange lineups.
Yeah.
And we've seen Steph Curry miss a plethora of games with various injuries.
Yeah.
So this was a team that's used to interacting when somebody's off the floor. Now, when you look at Cleveland, and they started bringing players off the bench, now they're not used to going more than 2 deep on the bench.
Right.
And trying to keep up with Golden State, when they went 5 deep on the bench, they were lost. The thing about professional sports and all sports, Charlton, it's about continuity, okay?
Yeah.
You have to have continuity within sports. Guys who are used to playing with each other, interacting. And we can bring a guy like Villanova off the bench, and he has not played any significant time in the game, and you put him out there with the starters.
Yeah.
He's sort of like the fish out of water.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you, because Villanova obviously had the play where Iguodala was dribbling the ball right around the top of the key, and looks like Villanova was actually swinging for the ball, but he actually hit him in his man parts, and it almost started a fight, but I think Iguodala felt like he did it on purpose, but you never know. I just want to know your thoughts from the South. When you look at TV from the South, we're out here on the West Coast, so everybody say he did it on purpose, but what are your thoughts on it? Was that a dirty play, Big C?
Well, it was an intentional play, Charlton. You're behind a player who is 6'6", 6'7", and you're 6'1".
Yeah.
On a good day, you're 6 feet tall.
Yeah, he's 6 feet tall.
You don't have the reach or the wingspan to reach around his body, okay?
Yeah.
And get to the basketball. So what you did was an intentional attempt. And so, but I look at this from Iguodala. Not many people realize 5 minutes earlier, LeBron James had already hit him in the groin up underneath the basket. Yeah. And it was a non-foul scenario. So this was the second time that he looked at an intentional shot into his manhood, and the officials really hadn't done anything because they allowed LeBron James to get away with it under the basket and scored, and then Villanova came down and did the same thing. But when you look at it, the most egregious part of that, Charlton, were the officials. For 3 minutes, you stand on the sideline, and now tell me what fan watching the game at home did not see it on the first, second, and third replay. Yeah. To see, okay, this is a flagrant one, or this is a flagrant foul, period. All right, that's all it is. Just call a foul. You got to go back and spend 3 to 5 minutes on the sideline killing the ebb and flow of the game. Yeah. Okay? That's what you did. You had people sitting out there, you had fans sitting there. It's like, how can you not just make the call?
Yeah, and I understand when you talk about the call, and even Adam Silver, I think one of the announcers calling the game last night was saying that Silver's thinking about maybe adding a fourth official to the game. I think sometimes it could be too officiated. 3 is enough right now. You just want to make quicker decisions. But to me, I like, and I'm old school, but not as old as you, Big C. No offense to that, Big C. But I think
you don't get old by being no fool.
I understand.
Let me remind you that.
I understand, Big C. But I think there's so much technology involved in sports now that it is taken away from the human element. Could you imagine in boxing, if they actually use a replay in boxing to see if someone was knocked out, and let the official, like Mills Lane, one of the great officials from the state of Nevada, when he would call big fights, if he counted someone out in 10 seconds, they didn't go to a replay to see if it was really 9.5 seconds. Big C.
If that was the case, Mike Tyson would not have lost to Buster Douglas.
Buster Douglas. Yeah.
Buster Douglas was down for a 12 count when he beat Mike Tyson in Tokyo. Yeah. So if you're going to use replay, use it right. And the officials in the NBA and the playoffs have been getting a lot of things wrong. I mean, they do a great job overall. And their job is priceless because they have to officiate the greatest athletes in the world running up and down the court. And they're small, diminutive men compared to the size of these tremendous athletes. Yeah. And so you get blocked in a lot of ways, but if you bring a fourth official into the game, are you going to slow the game down, Charlton?
I think so.
If you're not getting the calls right now, how are you going to get them right with the second set of eyes? And you got replay. How many cameras you have at a final series? Got to be 16 to 22 cameras, Charlton. So you got all these sets of eyes. You can't get it right with the 3 live ones. You can't get it right with the 20 replay ones. What is another set of 2 eyes live going to do for your court, Charlton?
And speaking of the 2 eyes, this segment is also sponsored by your Northern California BMW dealer, home of the ultimate driving machine. Go down and test drive from the powerful 1 Series all the way up to the super powerful 600 horsepower M7, also known as the 760 Li. And when you get test driving it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, Beneath His Wings Foundation.org. Make a donation today. It's easy, it's fast, and secure. And contact Cynthia Evans at CYNN Entertainment. When it comes to promotions, she's the best in Northern California. Let them know that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, also, Big C, in watching that game last night, there's so many intricacies that go on in the game. And when you have the bench from Golden State coming off whether it's Iguodala or whether it's someone like Livingston came in and scored 20 points, which is not a lot of points in the game, but that was his playoff high, Big C. Now, he's a guy who's had a lot of injuries over the years. But that just shows how deep Golden State is. But even more impressive than that, you had Steve Kerr yelling at Walton, and he actually broke a clipboard. So Steve Kerr was giving Walton a little bit of the business. Just your thoughts on coaches going at it, Big C? Your thoughts on that?
Well, you think about it, Dan. It's about, you on play scenarios that you're trying to set up on the sideline. You got Walton, because he's been involved with this team for some length of time, and he had him with a better record than what Kerr had.
Yeah.
And so his input was trying to override Kerr's, and so Kerr got a little peeved about that.
I noticed that.
In the end, it all worked out. You talk about Livingston. Livingston came into the league, Charlton, some 12, 14 years ago, right out of high school.
Yeah.
He was with that J.R. Smith era coming out of high school.
Yeah.
In his third season in the NBA, he had a devastating knee injury where he tore, both ligaments in his knee and broke his kneecap.
Yeah.
So, he had a long road back. He's played with nine NBA franchises. But he won his first championship last year with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
And he equaled the point total of the Splash Brothers last night, Charlton.
Yeah, they were off a little bit.
Well, they were tired. They were tired, Charlton. You think about the output that they've had in that OKC series, in the Portland series, what they had to do. But that goes a testament to Steve Kerr, okay? That's a testament to him, knowing what he has on his bench. And we've talked about the Golden State bench throughout the playoffs, how that they can interchange with the starters, and you don't miss anything. You think about last night when Cleveland was playing. LeBron went to the bench late in the third quarter, okay?
Yeah.
And the bully ball was gone. But see, when LeBron's on the court and he's handling the ball so much, other players stand around. They really don't know how to get involved once he goes to the basket. Other players clear out for him to have a straight run to the basket to get around the cup, Charlton.
And for the first,
that's what hurts their offense.
Well, for the first time that I can recall, LeBron looked to be a step slow. Now, maybe just game one, I can't say he has the jitters, but his body's battle tested. He's in great shape. The guy is just an amazing the way he looks and takes care of himself. But it seems like when you have, for Kyrie Irving, who didn't play all series last year, was hurt in the first game, he's an amazing dribbler, a lot like Steph Curry, but he also didn't seem to be that impressive last night. It seemed like Cleveland, I don't know if they just looked a step slow, Big C, because if they can't outperform the second team of Golden State, how can they outperform the first team? Because Curry and Thompson are going to have a better game in game two, Big C, even though it may be more close, because I think the officials will call it a little bit tighter, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's really going to help Golden State get the rest between game 1 and 2, Charlton. Cleveland had 7 days off coming into the series.
Yeah.
But they also had 8 days off going into Toronto series. And people saying, well, maybe they were a little sluggish. They didn't use that excuse against Toronto.
Right.
When they blew them out and had to live there. No one will admit that Golden State's just a better organization, a better team. Yeah. But like I said, you had LeBron and everybody who watched the game last night started playing bully ball. He's a tremendous athlete, tremendous player, Charlton. But he's allowed to get away with a little over-aggressiveness offensively around the basket. Yeah. But Golden State stood in there with it. Yeah. They were not intimidated, and they put some bodies on him last night, Charlton. When you think about the 7 shots that Cleveland missed in the paint.
Oh, all the time they kept missing. Yeah. It almost reminds me of when you talk about James Harden and his matador defense, Big C, but a lot of times there were players that played good defense in that game. That's why you saw a lot of misses in the paint. You saw a lot of players that are having their shots challenged, and we know that's going to make a big difference down as the series wanes down. I think we're still looking at 6 games.
Let me touch on a point called challenge, Charlton. Yeah. There was a point when Draymond Green was down on the floor and he had the basketball. Yeah. And when LeBron James dove on him, that was a foul.
That was a foul, definitely.
That was a straight-up foul. And the officials not to call that was very egregious. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying that these officials in the NBA, yes, they do a great job, but they also screw up a lot of calls. And that was a flagrant foul when you got a player down on the floor and you jump on his body. That's no different than a charge or a push, Charlton. Yeah. The player had nowhere to go. He was on top of the basketball, so you had to reach around him to get the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that.
LeBron James, there's no foul call, but if it had been him on the floor, in reversal, there would have been a flagrant jumping on him on the floor.
Well, I definitely agree with that. You have times with Steph Curry, the unanimous league MVP, there are times when he gets knocked to the ground, but so many people talk about flopping also. A guy like James, he's obviously going to get the benefit of the doubt, Big C, when it comes to being on the floor, so they don't want to have him in foul trouble. You rarely see where LeBron James, who's one of the most physical guys in the league, you rarely see him have more than 3 fouls, and he's the one charging the hole all the time. But I love the way he conditions himself. I love the way he plays. He's an all-out stud, and I love watching him play. Before we get to the next segment, Big C, I want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Ford dealer, home of the all-new F-150. They build it Ford tough. When you go down to test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, understand this, Big C. When I look at what's happening in the world of baseball, it's starting to come into full swing. We'll get more of it after we get out of the NBA championship. But I think in Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, they've had one of the greatest baseball stadiums. The Giants just finished up this series down there. But they're moving. I believe that stadium was built when they had the Olympics in Atlanta. Are they?
The 96 Olympics. Turner Field was built for that, and it was configured to baseball after Olympics. And ironically, the Braves, I believe, went to 3 World Series.
Yeah.
After they moved into Turner Field, Charlton, and they had been in Fulton County Stadium since the early 60s when they played there, mid-60s. And when they got the field at Turner Field 30 years later, and now they're moving across town, I believe it's to Cobb County, where they're building a SunTrust Stadium, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And, you know, we've talked about this with these arenas being built. You know, Atlanta's building the new Mercedes Dome downtown. They're going to get rid of the Georgia Dome.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful stadium.
Another Super Bowl. The NFL told them unless they built another new stadium, they couldn't get another Super Bowl in Atlanta. And now you're looking at the Braves, who are walking away from downtown Atlanta, moving out to the suburbs.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like the 49ers did, leaving San Francisco and going to Levi Stadium in San Jose.
Yeah.
You know, there's a hardship. I mean, we've had the Rams go back to Los Angeles, but there's a hardship, Charlton, that's created when these teams up and move. Now, these are billion-dollar organizations that pay millions and millions of dollars to their players.
Yeah.
But we keep forgetting about those staff people that are around. We keep forgetting about those community people who utilize the yards for parking space, and the concessionaires that have set up, you know, cooking stands and things along that line outside of these major sporting and concert events that go on at these facilities. So, you know, it's really almost like pilfering the community.
Yeah.
When these teams up and move, they forget about the little people. They're worried about the coffers that they have in their pockets.
Well, you see, when you bring it up too, because here in California, the Raiders are talking about getting a stadium in Las Vegas, and we know that the Chargers, they're talking about getting a stadium in Los Angeles. And I look at that. In Atlanta, it's a very progressive city for the South, very progressive, more like a Los Angeles in a sense. I think they have the busiest airport in the United States, but they have a new football stadium that's opening, I believe, next year. You're saying, Big C? 2017. The one they play in now is only about 25 years old, and then for the baseball stadium, same thing. So they're getting a lot of money, maybe moonshine money from what I hear. They don't pay a lot of taxes in the South, Big C. I think they should give some ideas to California on how to build a state-of-the-art stadium. But when you talk about teams moving, the Washington Redskins, they went from RFK out into the suburbs. They don't have the same environment. I remember
they actually went not to the suburbs, Charlton. They went to Virginia.
Okay.
They left the District of Columbia and moved to Virginia.
Yeah, and they haven't had the same kind of organization since, because when they played at RFK, that stadium would actually bounce. I know it was built that way, but you had a more passionate crowd. When you had the Miami Dolphins, they left the Orange Bowl, and they moved out to the suburbs up in northern Miami. The 49ers.
Fort Lauderdale, which, you know, 25 miles away from where the Orange Bowl was.
Yeah, different environment. The 49ers left Candlestick Park, which only won 5 Super Bowls for them. They went down to Levi Stadium, Santa Clara. And the Jets and the Giants, they left New York for the Meadowlands. I know just across the river. But
the Giants played for years in Yankee Stadium. Matter of fact, the greatest football game of all time that people said between the Giants and the Colts were played in Yankee Stadium, Charlton, in 1956.
Yeah.
And the Jets played in Shea Stadium forever. You know, they won a championship there in 1969. The New York Mets also won a championship there in 1969. And the New York Knicks, that same year, 69-70, won an NBA championship. So it was a city of champs in 69-70 in New York.
Yeah.
And the only team that's left there are the Knicks, Charlton.
Well, I think that's incredible. And the final segment is also sponsored by United Labor, up to $100,000 guaranteed issue, life insurance with no medical questions. Also by Goosehead Property and Casualty. We beat about 99% of the people in the business when it comes to quotes. And also I'm a broker with One Life Insurance. I'm a life insurance broker. We can beat everyone when it comes to final expense. So, Big C, in the final segment, I want to ask you this question, because I know going into the weekend we have a lot of baseball games. There's also NBA basketball with Golden State and Cleveland, and there's some golf tournaments going on as well. And I like the way you touched on the fact that when teams are leaving, they're not just getting a new stadium. Sometimes they have to unemploy some people who've been a part of the organizations for years, I would like to see more stability where teams, if you're going to build, they did down in Houston with the Astrodome, all they did was moved across the parking lot when they built the new stadium. Ironically, here in Oakland, you have the Golden State Warriors playing right across the parking lot from the Coliseum where the Raiders and the A's play. All three organizations are threatening of leaving that one area that has three professional teams right in the same spot, Big C. That employs a lot of people. I hate when that happens, Big C. Just your thoughts on how important you think it is over the next 20 years for teams to stay in their centralized area because it's better for the fans and the people who work in those stadiums, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, it's all a part of stabilizing local economy, okay? Well, when you do that, when you look at the thousands of people that are involved in a major sporting event or concert event that goes on at these stadiums. And let me give you an example, because down in the SEC, they do things big time, okay? It's 100 days away from the largest crowd in college football history between Virginia Tech and the University of Tennessee. It's going to be played at the Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
They're expecting 150,000 fans for this football game in 100 days, Charlton.
My goodness, can you imagine how much moonshine is going to be sold at the tailgating parties, Big C? 150,000 people for college football?
Well, let's turn them up, Charlton.
They're going to pay those. Are the players getting any money for this game, Big C?
Well, we won't talk about the under the table thing, Charlton.
Okay.
We can't talk about, the cost of moonshine. It's not legal to advertise.
Okay, I understand.
The advertisement of a player's salary in college. But when you think about that 150,000 fans, and you talk about the Raiders leaving the Coliseum, if they were to average 150,000 fans every 3 games, they wouldn't talk about leaving Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah.
50,000 fans a game, if they could get that, they would be happy. But I've seen games in that stadium where they have the top of the stadium target off.
Oh, yeah.
They're classified as a sellout, like what we have in Jacksonville also.
Yeah.
That same scenario goes on where you're topping off the stadium. So the NFL has to do something right. You got to find a way to get some quality players into these markets and help these teams win. And the Raiders are one of the heritage teams of the 60s and 70s in the NFL.
Yeah.
They won all the time. They were a flagship organization. The great Al Davis did a marvelous job with the coaches that he had in the organization, the John Maddens, the Don Flores.
Yeah.
These people won. John Gruden. These people went to Super Bowls. Bill Callahan. They took the Raiders to the ultimate championship. But, they've fallen on hard times player-wise.
Yeah.
They had Hugh Jackson, who turned the organization around. They fired him.
Yeah.
And so you wonder what is it going to take. They have Jack Del Rio in now. Can he get it going? They got a young quarterback in Carr. But this is an organization that was proud. But when you talk about pilfering these communities, Charlton, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, you got to think about the people who supported you forever. You're telling them, we appreciate the money that you're paying.
Yeah.
We don't care about that.
Yeah, we don't care. It's like the old girlfriend that's been with you for so many years. When something younger and newer comes along, and I'm not just talking about Los Angeles, Big C, or Miami, but sometimes people leave for something that looks shiny. And speaking of leaving for something that looks shiny, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide, you can listen to Charlton and Big C Sports. We want to thank you for listening to the $1 Million Show. And also tonight's California Mega Million, Big C, is $251 million. What would you do with $251 million, Big C? I'm sure you spend it. Well, send me those balls, Big C. I'm sure I'll have them next week. I want to tell everyone who listens in that we thank you, we appreciate you, and we wish you a super fantastic day.